The 2022 Lexus LX600. Many people have been asking me to cover this vehicle, and personally it's hard for me to get excited about a near six-figure large SUV. However, people want to see it, so I'm going to cover it here. And this LX is truly all new. And I will cover all the changes made to the exterior, the mechanical changes, the interior, the space, and overall give my impressions, because I have driven the LX570 and that is a very impressive automobile. It really does feel like a larger, kind of lifted up LS, but it has a proper V8, which this new one will not have. But yes, the current LX570, it's got one of the smoothest power plants. It does feel truly buttery. It is an amazing driving experience. I do like it a lot. Very expensive. The current one starts at around $86,000 and the three-row costs around $91,000. The pricing of this new LX600 has not been released yet, but we can assume it's going to be around that same price figure. Now, will the current LX570 hold its value or even increase in value? Who knows? Only time will tell. But moving on, let's talk about this new LX600. Well, the main change is the 3.5-liter twin turbocharged V6 engine made it to the 10-speed automatic. That's the main change, and this vehicle will be producing 409 horsepower and 479 pounds-feet of torque. I recently did a video talking about my thoughts on the brand new 2022 Tundra, and some journalists have begun driving the Tundra. They went to the press event. I was not invited to it. However, you can certainly watch reviews on the Tundra to get kind of an idea of what the twin turbo V6 is going to be like with a larger body on frame vehicle. My only experience with a 3.5-liter twin turbo V6 and a 10-speed automatic in a Lexus product is with the LS500. So I've driven every model of the LS500, the F Sport, the regular LS500, as well as the hybrid version of that. And it's a good motor. I do like it. It does make more power and more torque, obviously, than the naturally aspirated V8s. It's not as smooth as the V8. It doesn't sound quite as nice. However, it is befitting of a luxury product. I don't hate this engine choice. And the 10-speed does do a great job as well. It's a very nice, smooth automatic transmission. In the Toyota Tundra, the 10-speed automatic is basically taken out of the LS500. However, it was redesigned and reinforced for hauling purposes to be fitted inside of a larger, heavier automobile. The same thing should be true of this LX600. So the drivetrain, it should be fine. They have tuned and regulated this drivetrain to be as smooth as possible, both out in the street as well as on the off-road, because the LX models are legendary. They're known for off-roading, and they have continued to use a body-on-frame chassis, and they have improved the suspension, etc., to cope and to be improved upon on the off-road. But I just want to let you know, the general people that are going to be buying this, if you jump a curb at Nordstrom, it's going to be more than capable. It should be able to easily handle that. But yes, that's the drivetrain. It should be much quicker. And let's move on into some of the chassis changes, because this vehicle is 20% more rigid than the previous generation. It's going to be riding on the GAF platform, and this will weigh 441 pounds less than the predecessor, while increasing the body rigidity, as I already mentioned. The suspension has also been revised. You have active height control suspension, AHC, and you also have an available adaptive variable suspension, AVS. So the active ride height, before I believe it was only for the front suspension. Now the front and the rear can be lowered and raised. You'll have 3 settings for that: normal, high 1, and high 2. And the overall suspension on this has tuned to be even softer than it was before. And they did this obviously for the comfort, but also for it to increase its off-road capability, right? So that's what that softer suspension is going to yield you. Now, we're also going to have some new trim levels here. We're going to have 5 trim levels. We're going to have standard, premium, luxury, and we're also, for the first time ever, we're going to see an F Sport model as well as an ultra luxury trim level, which I never really understood the point of these ultra luxury trim levels with like 4 seating, and it's supposed to be like the most opulent version, but it costs the most amount of money. It's the least practical, similar to what Maybach or Maybach does with Mercedes. So I don't know, if you have money, you can certainly pay for it. That's certainly not the trim level that I would personally go with. But there was one cool feature with the with the ultra luxury fully loaded trim. The seats on it, the seats were specifically designed to be as comfortable as possible, to be able to absorb bumps and to feel stable at all times, even when you go over off-road terrain or in general just bumpy roads. So the seats were specifically designed for that ultra luxury trim, and that is pretty cool to have like the most supple, opulent experience in the seat. It was specifically engineered, those seats, for that trim level. But we also have an F Sport, and for once I don't think the F Sport is going to be a waste with this SUV, because obviously we have a significant weight savings here. We have an all-new body-on-frame chassis that's going to be much more nimble, much more capable, and this F Sport trim is going to be able to take it to the next level, because you will be getting a Torsen limited slip differential to give proper traction to the rear tires. And we're also going to get 22-inch forged alloy wheels with the F Sport, and these are going to be the largest wheels available in the Lexus lineup stock. And even the 18 and 20-inch wheels that are going to be on offer with the LX600, even those are lighter weight wheels compared to the previous generation. So the unsprung weight of all these wheels have been reduced, and that's also going to assist with the handling capabilities of this LX600. Now, handling is obviously not the forte of these large SUVs like these Cadillac Escalades and the new Jeep Wagoneers and Lincoln Navigators, right? All these massive SUV things. I didn't love the LX570 for its handling. It was fine for sure. I mean, it had a unique handling characteristic where it really masked its size really well. And I'll talk about the size of this new one in a little bit. However, the previous generation, it just had like this effortless driving characteristic that I really appreciated. Now this one on paper is going to handle better, and it's just going to be a little bit more capable, and that's fine. However, that's not really the purpose here. We just want that nice, smooth, buttery feeling, that effortless feeling, where it feels satisfactory even at lower speeds. I mean, it's just a magical feeling that Lexus kind of has with their flagship automobiles that's very difficult for me to properly convey to you, but hopefully it's still here. On paper anyway, it certainly seems to be the best LX ever created. However, we really need to get our hands on this to properly see what this thing is going to be all about. But I was talking about the size. This new LX600 apparently inherits the golden ratio of 112-inch wheelbase. That's apparently the optimal wheelbase for this LX, and always has been, for both the comfort, the spacious interior, as well as the off-road capability. So there you go. Now let's move on into the interior, because that's the most important thing about the LX, right? This new one anyway. We have over 19 inches of screen access. Screens were pretty much their most important thing that they took into consideration when building this thing, right? That's simply what people want nowadays. They just want larger screens to interact with. Even if it's not as practical, that's just what people want. So you have a 12.3-inch upper screen, and we have a 7-inch lower screen. So you have two screens, a dual screen going on here with the new LX. You would think that they probably learned their lesson from Honda when they stopped making dual screens, but we'll see how this does. This seems to be pretty well implemented. It doesn't look the best in my opinion. I think they could have designed this a little bit better. However, the 7-inch screen on the bottom is supposed to be for your climate control as well as your drive mode selection and your off-road control settings. That's what that 7-inch display is going to show you. And the 12.3-inch display is the upper screen, which is going to be your primary infotainment. But the reason why I don't mind this as much, even though it doesn't look as nice, is because they did give you some physical controls, some physical buttons, so they did not screw up there. So they haven't completely destroyed the ergonomics of this. You're also going to be able to get a optional 25 speaker Mark Levinson surround sound system, which Mark Levinson, one of the best audio systems that you can possibly get, so that should be worth optioning for. And for the first time ever, the third row seating, that's going to be a 50-50 split, and you're going to be able to lower it and raise it electronically, and it's going to lay down flat. So for the first time ever, you're going to be able to get that practicality with an LX600, and that would be essentially a 7-seater. But if you got the ultra luxury, as I mentioned, it's only going to be a 4-seater, but it's going to be the most luxurious model with like a touch screen in the rear and reclining seats, etc. That's going to be up to you if you want to pay up for that. But The seats themselves, they look great. I mean, it looks like they really put a lot of effort into this machine. It looks like a high quality automobile. And the screens are, of course, going to be enabled with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. One thing I noticed in the front though is the gear lever knob. It's like a traditional gear shifter. I'm surprised that they kept that. I just assumed that they would probably go to like a knob or something similar to what Genesis and what Stellantis uses in some of their products. I thought it would have just gave it a cleaner aesthetic, but it is what it is. You will be getting paddle shifters here. The overall build quality, it is a Lexus product. You know it's going to be one of the best in the business. So it's going to be tight and well put together, especially since this is a flagship. You're of course going to be able to interact with this new infotainment with the voice assistant as well, and you can also get over-the-air updates for your infotainment. You're going to be getting a myriad of safety systems here. You got the Lexus Safety System Plus 2.5. That's going to for sure give you pre-collision systems and front collision warning, automatic emergency braking with bicycle detection and all that good stuff. I'm assuming you should be able to get blind spot monitoring as standard, especially for a vehicle of this caliber, considering it is a flagship, so hopefully you do get that. And lastly, I'll kind of talk about the exterior. I kind of saved this for last because styling is subjective. However, this is all new redesigned automobile, right? So, I mean, overall, I mean, it's just one big box, right? I mean, kind of looks like every other full-size luxury SUV, right? They're all just kind of big old rectangles on wheels. However, this one, yeah, sure, it still continues that big baller kind of nature and prestigious look. The rear end to me kind of looks like a Durango, but that's just me. I mean, it doesn't look terrible. And the front end, obviously, we got that massive grille, redesigned headlights. The grille is massive and it's functional, of course. It provides cooling for the 3.5 liter twin turbo V6. And I mean, yeah, there's a ton of competition right now, like the Cadillac Escalade. That's all new. That just recently came out. That's a pretty epic machine, I'm not gonna lie. I drove the new Suburban, or I'm sorry, the Tahoe High Country. That was like an $80,000 version of the Tahoe fully loaded, and it was pretty epic, and it comes with the 6.2 liter V8. So that's something to note there. The Navigators are out. You got things like the Mercedes GLS, the BMW X7. So a lot of competition here, and you know, before at least this vehicle stood out because it had a naturally aspirated V8. This no longer has that. This is now kind of like the Lincoln Navigator. Again, power is not the issue. It makes more power than it did before. I don't know what the pure reason for going for this would be over the other vehicles. And of course you have the new Jeep Wagoneer as well. So a lot of competition now. I mean, this is for the 1%ers of the world. I mean, I guess if you've owned an Escalade or something, or you own like a Lincoln Navigator and you just want to own something different for a change, then you probably just get the Lexus for like a year or two and then sell it later. I don't know. That's really up to the ultra wealthy. You know, how they want to blow their money is going to be up to them. But is this going to be a great vehicle? Of course it is. I mean, all these kind of flagship cars, especially from Lexus, they're always going to be really well made. You know, one of the highest quality interiors. Now, this interior, it doesn't look as fancy as the LS500 sedan, but you know, the build quality is going to be there. The dealership experience is going to be great. The off-road capability is there, right? It's a pretty legendary car. It has a large following. I mean, they sold over 500,000 globally around the world since the inception of the LX. That's how many have been sold, and that's a lot considering the price of the LX. So clearly people love it, but I think people loved it for its simplicity and its V8 engine. I don't know how people are going to react to this new one, but is this going to be a good car? Of course it is. If you bought it, I'm sure you would love it. It's going to be a great driving experience, and the tech is now fully updated here. So you leave your thoughts in the comment section below how you like this new generation LX600. If you had the money, would you buy it? Are you going to buy it? Leave your thoughts below in the comment section. But thanks again for watching. Take care and goodbye.